But there are plenty of wars we're fighting right here at home, still waiting to get your attention where it's really needed. A little more love to this side of the Atlantic will be much appreciated by many right about now. Don't worry, though. Hopefully in the near future, number 45 will help to fill the void left behind by you.
It really doesn't matter whether the grand jury votes or doesn't vote. It's really the prosecutor who indicts. So there was an indictment. The prosecutor asked for it. She was going to get it. All the grand jury does is rubber stamp 23 chairs moved around by the prosecutor. So actually they performed a public service by making it clear to all of us that you do not take seriously a grand jury indictment. Don't ever say, oh, 23 people considered this and indicted. No, they don't even vote on it before the indictment is issued. It's just the prosecutor's decision.
And now let's bring in former New York City Mayor, America's Mayor, my Mayor, Rudy Giuliani, also the host of the hit new show, America's Mayor Live, which you can catch on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and Getter. Mr. Mayor, that was Alan Dershowitz from earlier in the week. I've been doing this a long time. I had no idea. I think the American public needs to hear a little bit more about this system where the grand jury is selected by the prosecutor. The grand jury hears witnesses who are presented by the prosecutor only. Mr. Mayor, it scares the living daylights out of me, the amount of power we're giving these rogue prosecutors in some cases. What are your thoughts on the system and Fani Willis specifically?
Well, I tell you, it is an awesome job. I mean, I remember the day I retired as U.S. Attorney. I woke up the next morning and I felt like a big weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I felt, unlike the present prosecutors, every decision was a very, very one that I really thought out. I never wanted to prosecute an innocent man or woman. I was trained that way. These people aren't trained that way. They're exceedingly sloppy. They're exceedingly arrogant. It is true that the grand jury, when I was the U.S. Attorney, we selected it. We were the only ones who appeared there. But there were times in which they didn't return an indictment. And there were cases where I wanted their opinion. I think it's a matter of total disrespect, this Willis woman, who gets the indictment before the grand jury even votes it. I mean, it is true, even under the best of circumstances, it's basically they're going to do what the prosecutor wants. But they still have a function. She took away their function completely. And what these modern prosecutors are doing is they're becoming agents of a particular administration. They're not fair and equal. I prosecuted pretty much an equal number of Republicans and Democrats, and never thought about it. If you committed a crime, you committed a crime. And I prosecuted a lot more cases than she did. And I prosecuted real crimes, not made up ones like the one she just did. Also, as they see it, a very, very sloppy indictment. I mean, she made it very easy to remove it to federal court. I don't think she was aware of 28 U.S.C. 1442 A, which allows for removal. And she made it easier by putting in all of those acts outside the state of Georgia. A smarter prosecutor trying to preserve the case would have confined it to the state of Georgia and then argued the federal government shouldn't take it away.
But I think the reason why I'm bringing this up is for that reason you specifically cited, that she dropped the actual 13 identical charges that she ended up laying on you and President Trump and 17 others. But she did it prior. She leaked it. They leaked it, which meant she had already decided that she was going to prosecute, no matter what the grand jury said. It scares me, Mr. Mayor, to think that we're in a day and age where a grand jury, who should be a protection against a totalitarian government, or 100%. Against the prosecutor who may be willing to prosecute political opponents, and had already decided that you guys were going to get indicted.
Honestly, maybe I'm being naive, but I don't think we had prosecutors in the 70s and the 80s that would prosecute for political reasons, whether they were Democratic administrations or Republican administrations. The Justice Department had a very high code of ethics, which I grew up in. I mean, I was taught if the case is close, don't indict. I remember my boss, who was a prosecutor for 50 years, telling me, if the guy's a real criminal, if we don't get him right the first time, don't worry, he'll come back. We'll get him.
That's right.
You don't have to push it. Never push it. Never push it. Never push it.
And you did. I was there. I watched it. I watched you take down the well organized, intricate web of
really
crime
like they murdered people.
in New York and around the country. Go ahead.
They were real criminals, like they really murdered people. That's what RICO is for. It isn't necessarily for organized crime, but it's for a major criminal enterprise. This is hardly that. This is an election fraud argument. It's totally inconsistent with RICO. RICO is for serious, long-term criminal organizations. They can be political corruption. The Biden family is a perfect RICO case. Fits 100%. In fact, there's one text of Hunter's that could have been written for RICO. The one where he says that for 30 years, he's been paying all the expenses of the family and still has to give Pop half. Well, it's now turning out that all that proof is coming out. But I put that out 3 years ago. And at the time,
to be clear, you think there should be a prosecution of the Biden family under RICO, which, a seated president versus a former president, it would be a first time?
Well, there should be. I mean, that case has been there for 3 years. I mean, there's more witnesses against President Biden than I think any case I ever prosecuted. I don't think I ever had. I mean, even against organized crime, and I prosecuted and convicted 2 congressmen and all kinds of officials in the
Mr. Mayor, before I move into this Hunter thing, I want to tie this thing up. So you have a situation where there are a lot of liberal prosecutors in the country. There are a lot of political operatives who are financing prosecutors to become district attorneys, et cetera, with the agenda in mind, and they're there. They can go after political opponents, say like yourself or Donald Trump or whomever, and bleed you dry because of the cost of defending yourself. Whether a grand jury says, I'm not sure, they can still prosecute and they can still make you defend yourself to the point where you run out of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they did a 3-year investigation of me in the U.S. Attorney's Office. Conclusion was there wasn't any evidence to justify an indictment. There was no probable cause. The federal prosecutor wrote that to the grand jury. That was after 3 years of looking at 20 years of my records, secretly getting my iCloud account on the day that I became Donald Trump's lawyer. You want an indication that they invaded his attorney-client privilege? The day I became his lawyer, the FBI went and got my iCloud account. You know when they got rid of it? The day I stopped being his lawyer.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing the bias that they can lean into people, ruin people's lives without a grand jury even having to necessarily agree with doing that. It's no protection. There's no protection. It's scary. We're going to look into it further. Mr. Mayor, very quickly, let's hear a soundbite from Abby Lowell. This is Hunter Biden's new attorney. I'd just like you to react to it very quickly.
So first of all, it's much more complicated than to say it comes from countries. There are joint ventures between American entities and in 1 or 2 occasions, a potential foreign entity to create the possibility of jobs and energy in the United States. That's too complicated to try to explain.
Do you believe that, Mr. Mayor? Hunter's too complicated to explain. Go ahead.
It's very simple to explain. I can draw any one of them on a whiteboard for you. First of all, it's more like 30 or 40, not 2 or 3. And the amount of money that has been proven so far is about 22, 23 million. I can get it to 50 million with the hard drive. I think it goes over 50 million. That's an astounding amount of bribery. It is absolutely ridiculous that he's sitting in the White House.
Too complicated for you small.
He should have been indicted 2 years ago.
Mr. Mayor, it's so disingenuous. It's so disgusting that for Hunter's lawyer to say, I would explain it, Joe Scarborough, but it's too complicated for your peon viewers and the rest of the American people to really see what's going on. It's what's wrong with the system. It's what's wrong with the left media as well. Rudy, I got to go. Mr. Mayor, got to go. Thank you so much for your time.
Good job. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. You too.